members of the Peabody Institute Advisory Board, distinguished guests, faculty, staff, and alumni of the Peabody Institute, and of course, members and families of the graduating class of the Peabody Conservatory. I am Paul Matthews, Interim Senior Associate Dean for Institute Studies, and it is my pleasure to welcome you to the Peabody Conservatory's 141st graduation exercises, which are part of the commencement exercises closing the Johns Hopkins University's 147th academic year. I want to offer my heartiest congratulations to each and every one of you here today. I also offer sincere regrets from our Dean Fred Bronstein, who was unfortunately taken ill and is not able to join us in person today. I am delighted to see so many parents, relatives, and friends here to celebrate with you, our graduating students. I know that your families have shared in every challenge and every success that you have experienced here at Peabody. You could not have achieved that which we celebrate here today without their counsel and support. To the families of our graduate, we say, thank you. I also want to recognize and thank our outstanding faculty for the critical and guiding role they have played in bringing you, our students, to this point today. Peabody owes all of you a debt of gratitude for your great commitment to our students. It is my pleasure at this time to present this year's Excellence in Teaching Award. The Excellence in Teaching Award was established in 1992 through the generosity of the Johns Hopkins University Alumni Association as a way in each of the divisions we can annually recognize at least one of our many fine teachers. May I ask Alan Stepansky to join me at the podium? Alan Stepansky, your multifaceted career as a soloist, principal cellist, chamber musician, recording artist, and distinguished teacher exemplifies the highest ideals of artistry and versatility. In your 25 years on the faculty of the Peabody Conservatory, you have led by example, committing yourself entirely and sharing your gifts generously to promulgate the power of music in our world. Your career has been as broad as it has been deep. You have appeared as a guest artist to the Chamber Music Society of Lincoln Center, the Mostly Mozart Festival, and Jazz at Lincoln Center, among numerous other prestigious venues and series, and performed in concert with a diverse array of artists from Isaac Stern, Emanuel Ax, Renee Fleming, the American and Takash string quartets, to Sting, Bruce Springsteen, and Natalie Merchant. After becoming principal cellist of the Boston Pops under John Williams and a frequent performer in the Boston Symphony Orchestra in your early 20s, you were chosen by Zubin Mehta to be associate principal cellist of the New York Philharmonic, a position you held for 10 years. Your recorded chamber music and solo discs for EMI were honored by Gramophone, BBC Music Magazine, and the New York Times, and the British Music Industry Association. And you have been engaged as the solo cellist for major film soundtracks, including Being John Malkovich, Moonrise Kingdom, Titanic, and True Grit. A teacher of uncommon skill and compassion, your commitment to mentoring the next generation of gifted young cellists is evidenced by your students' unreserved admiration for you. You command respect with the brilliance of your own playing, vast knowledge of the cello technique, and comprehensive experience as a performer. Cellists in your studio feel understood and motivated and are inspired by the progress they know they are making under your tutelage. You are known for creating a welcoming and supportive studio environment, and for teaching with great care and empathy, imparting lessons that transcend instruction in music. As one student wrote, he taught us how to be confident, how to have hope, and to use our music to impact the community and the world in a way that is much needed and necessary today. Your holistic sensibility of the total artist and understanding of the intrinsic value of a school like Peabody within the context of a larger university, coupled with your own unflagging intellectual curiosity, naturally encourages your students to take advantage of the unique opportunities available to them across departments and divisions. Your students have gone on to win positions in top orchestras worldwide and are leading careers as soloists, chamber musicians, teachers, and in fields outside of music. You have shaped their successes and continue to support and celebrate them well beyond their lives at Peabody. Appointed to the faculty in 1998, you currently serve as chair of the strings department and have contributed greatly to orchestral and chamber music instruction, as well as participating in numerous important administrative committees, both at Peabody and across the university. You are a true faculty leader. Dedicated to using music for meaningful social causes, you serve on the board of directors for Music for Life International and have appeared as principal cellist of an international orchestra for major fundraising events held at Carnegie Hall. Alan Stepansky, in recognition of your many gifts and accomplishments, and with our profound gratitude for all that you are and all the good that you do, it is our honor to present to you the Johns Hopkins Alumni Association's Excellence in Teaching Award for 2023.
Thank you so much, Dean Matthews. Dean Matthews, assembled deans and staff, faculty colleagues, students, and guests. I am deeply moved and humbled today, and first and foremost want to express my most profound gratitude to my dear colleagues, both faculty and administrative, and to my wonderful students, and my wonderful students who have nominated me for this year's Excellence in Teaching Award. It is an honor to be your colleague, and it's an honor to be your teacher, and I am so proud to be part of this wonderful community. 25 years ago, I raised more than a few eyebrows when I resigned from a tenured position with one of the world's top orchestras after only 10 seasons and still in my mid-30s, to accept the invitation of the Peabody Conservatory to become a full-time professor of cello. Why did I do that? I'll try to explain. I first started teaching cello when I was in high school, teaching elementary and junior high kids at my school. I have been teaching in some capacity without a break ever since, from 5-year-old beginners to 85-year-olds, in my home, in their homes, in community music schools, and in college settings. Though I always did my best, I generally felt pretty clueless about how to really teach and help my students improve. And that was the thing about those early years. Teaching was hard. And my increasing accomplishment as a player did not seem to correlate with me being a more confident or even competent teacher. Being perfectly honest, every lesson I taught felt like I had as much to learn about teaching as my students had to learn about playing. It was a little unsettling because I really loved the idea of teaching. My own teachers, both musical and academic, were somewhat larger than life figures to me, and I was raised in a family and by parents who conveyed a deep respect for education and knowledge, for teachers, and for academic excellence. My mother, an elementary school teacher in the Philadelphia public school system in the late 1940s and 50s, received its highest performance rating. And I think she would have been especially pleased to see one of her 4 sons receive an award for teaching. I continued trying my best to help any cello students that came my way, until one day, while in my early 20s, I recall arriving at a lesson with my last formal teacher, Harvey Shapiro of the Juilliard School. Harvey was a cigar-smoking, rough-talking, legendary figure, already in his 80s, with a long and distinguished career as a performer and a particularly big reputation as one of the major cello teachers at that time. I entered his studio, and as soon as he saw me, he quickly grabbed his cello and very excitedly said, with lit cigar in mouth, "Alan, I should give back all the money that I've ever taken from a student before today. I just figured out how to play this passage, and I've been teaching all wrong for the last 50 years. Look." He enthusiastically demonstrated his discovery by raising his arms a certain way, changing balance, and moving fluidly through a line of a Beethoven sonata with flawless precision, natural phrasing, and a gorgeous tone on every note. It's hard to describe the excitement that was emanating from this 80-plus-year-old man, whom I'd assumed already knew everything there was to know about teaching and playing. Turns out he was, in fact, still learning, problem-solving, and growing as an artist. And what's more, he wasn't just learning to teach better, he was learning to play better. I am also happy to report that he ultimately lived to be 97 and taught energetically nearly until the day he died, and played until he died. Finally, I started to get it. It's okay to feel you have a lot to learn about teaching, maybe even necessary, to be good at doing it. Teaching, it turns out, is potentially the most electrifying form of learning, and it allows you to learn for as long as you teach. And although I haven't volunteered to return any portion of my Peabody salary yet, I feel that I'm a better teacher and cello player today than I was last week, let alone 25 years ago. Bottom line, if you want to continually get better as a musician, don't just practice, teach and practice. And yet, what I've just described isn't even the greatest thing about teaching. To me, and I'm sure to all of my faculty colleagues, it's the inspiration that we derive from the privilege of working with our students, intimately witnessing their unique and individual journeys and growth, their discoveries, and the nobility and idealism of their aspirations. I remember writing a paper in college about the role of musicians in society and posing the following question: would my work, would I be contributing enough to the world if I succeeded in becoming a professional musician? Maybe some of today's graduates have asked themselves that same question. I mean, we live in a pretty complicated world, which is, of course, an understatement. Does the world need another cellist, another composer, another dancer? What I want to say about teaching is that for me, it has helped answer these questions. And while I haven't discovered the cure for cancer, solved world hunger, climate change, or any other of our dizzyingly numerous global problems, I believe that teaching has contributed greatly to the feeling that my work as a musician is purposeful and impactful. Knowing and working with my students, each one unique, and with unlimited potential to contribute to or even change the world, has utterly convinced me that the world is an infinitely better place with more artists, more historians, more novelists. We need the liberal arts, creative thinkers, and yes, more cellists. I am happy to report that committing to a foundation of teaching in my career has been gratifying beyond my expectations, and I'm really glad that I took that leap 25 years ago. Graduates, I highly recommend that you teach in some form, no matter what path you follow with your musical training. And I wish you a life of learning and of making meaningful contributions to our world. Thank you so much for this this most deeply appreciated honor. But really, for the past quarter of a century, the honor has been mine.
I am pleased to call special attention to all the students who have received prizes and awards for specific achievements. Their names are listed in the program, those who are graduating today as well as those who are not. On behalf of the Conservatory, I'd like to thank the many friends of Peabody whose donations have made these awards possible. And I'd also like to thank the faculty again for selecting you for these awards. I now ask all of those students, both on stage and in the hall, to stand in their places so that we might applaud them for their accomplishments. The Azalea H. Thomas Prizes are awarded to the instrumentalist and vocalist who graduate with the highest grade point average in music theory, earned throughout the bachelor degree program. I ask the following students to come forward and join me on stage when their names are called. This year, the Azalea H. Thomas Prize for instrumentalists with the highest grade point average in music theory, earned throughout the bachelor degree program, is a 5-person tie. Going to Owen Scott Boyd, Nathan J. Hillman, Xiao Tzu Shang, Merrick Aloha Tagaki Ohata. And Bowen Zhang. This year's Azalea H. Thomas Prize to a vocalist with the highest grade point average in music theory earned throughout the bachelor degree program is awarded to 2 folks, Marina Genevieve Banami and Cassandra Hermione Durgin. Thank you all. One more. The Peabody Alumni Association Award was established by the Peabody Alumni Association and is annually awarded to the graduating student who attains the highest grade point average for the entire bachelor degree program. This year, the Peabody Alumni Award is given to Eli Samuel Wasserman. Thank you all. Thank you. Finally, it is my pleasure to introduce our student speaker. Please welcome Chyna Beals. Give it up for Chyna.
Good morning. Greetings to all family, friends, staff, faculty, and the scholars, the graduating class of 2023. Make some noise. I hope everyone is feeling well today. My name is Chyna Beals. I am honored to have been chosen to be the graduation speaker of 2023. I'm still trying to take this all in. Did I think I'd be here? No, not at all. This would not be possible if it wasn't for the Baltimore Scholars Program, the Tuned In program, and my family. I was a low-income Baltimore City student. Growing up, all I had was a dream. I'm sure we all had a dream to attend college, but my dream came with a nightmare, and that was not having enough money to attend. But I was very determined, and I looked up ways to earn scholarships. Thankfully, when I was about 9 or 10 years old, my elementary school band teacher, Mr. Gold, put a huge instrument in my little hands, my trombone. I looked at him and started bawling my eyes out, because all I could think of is, how am I going to carry this big instrument while being 4'8"? The instrument was bigger than me. While trying to calm me down, he looked at me, and I'll never forget his words. At least you'll always stand out. Those words will always be carried with me because not only did my instrument make me look super strong, I earned full scholarships to all of my top colleges. I'm sure we all remember our first time being introduced to our specific art or even our amazing mentors. Some of us have started at young ages, and some of us have started 4 years ago, but we are all still amazing artists. A lot of people ask me why I chose to stay in my hometown for college, especially since my high school is only 1 minute away. But Peabody has always been my second home, and I'm sure for a lot of us graduating today that we all feel the same way. I walked on the grounds of Peabody when I was in the 9th grade to enter the Tuned In program, where I met most of my mentors who will always be a special part of my journey. And I'm sure we all remember our first musical influences. Mr. Dan, Mr. Eli, and Miss Marie have all made this possible for me. They helped me purchase the most important thing. Without it, I wouldn't be up here addressing you all today, my trombone. I'm sure we all have had mentors that have helped us, pushed us, and shaped us to be where we are today. I went through a period of not knowing where my next meal would come from, how I would get to and from school, and where I was going to lay my head at night, while all trying to make it to this point today. Being a broke college student is super real and isn't for the weak. Deb has made school and life a lot easier for all of us. Professor Sean Jones has made most of us feel at home within the jazz department. His words will always stick with me as well. I saw something in y'all, but y'all just have to practice. Practicing is a big part of our journeys as well. Long, hard years and years of practicing that has helped us mature into professional musicians. I'm sure for a lot of us, graduating from Peabody will not be the end of our musical journeys. Attending Peabody has pushed and shaped us into the professional musicians that we have always aspired to be. Peabody has helped us build skills that will help us navigate through the professional world. Peabody has also helped us grow into our very own authentic selves, and we will be able to help younger scholars that know that this is all possible. When I say anything is, y'all say possible. Anything is? Possible. Anything is? Possible. Anything is? Possible. Thank you all. My name is Chyna Beals, and it has been my pleasure to address you all as the undergraduate graduation speaker of 2023.
Thank you so much, Chyna, for your compelling remarks and for everything that you've contributed in your time as a student here. Good morning, everyone. I'm Townsend Plant, an Associate Dean for Enrollment and Student Life, and we are so thrilled to be celebrating with all of you today. Last evening, we continued a new graduation tradition of staging a special concert featuring some of our outstanding graduates. We continue this morning in that spirit of celebrating performance and honoring our graduates by inviting members of your graduating class to perform at this ceremony. Two of the members of the Pleiades Quartet, who also happen to be brothers, received their bachelor's degrees today. Violist Brian Jennings and cellist George Jennings are joined by violinist Olivia Chen and Ishwar Mahadevan to perform the Cavatina from Beethoven's String Quartet number 13, Opus 130. Please welcome the Pleiades Quartet. It is now my distinct honor to welcome our distinguished honoree, Terence Blanchard, to join me at the podium. We are so thrilled that you could join us here today, and we are honored to present you with the George Peabody Medal, accompanied by the following citation. Terence Blanchard, your remarkable and inspiring achievements across multiple genres, from the concert stage to film and now opera, are making an indelible mark on American culture. You embody the ideal of a 21st century citizen artist as you intentionally and thoughtfully continue to expand your own artistic horizons and those of your audiences through your powerful creations and performances. Your creative endeavors extend from your roots in jazz into film scoring, crafting soundscapes for television, and conceiving grand operas, and through your work, you have been at the forefront of giving voice to sociocultural issues and racial injustices of our time. Your opera in jazz, Fire Shut Up in My Bones, with a libretto based on Charles Blow's memoir about overcoming a cycle of violence, opened in the Metropolitan Opera's 2021-22 season, the first time a project by an African-American composer graced the Met stage in its 136-year history. Your first opera, Champion, premiered at the Opera Theater of St. Louis in 2013 and enjoyed its debut production at the Met this year. Born in New Orleans, you began playing piano at the age of 5. You started your career touring with the Lionel Hampton Orchestra as a teenage trumpeter before taking over your childhood friend Wynton Marsalis's place in Art Blakey's Jazz Messengers, serving as the band's music director for many years. Your 1991 eponymous album marked the beginning of your solo career and reached number 3 on the Billboard Jazz chart. You have won 7 Grammy Awards and recorded a long list of acclaimed albums, including the Billie Holiday Songbook, Let's Get Lost, A Tale of God's Will, A Requiem for Katrina, and 2015's Breathless, a music protest inspired by Eric Garner's pleas of I Can't Breathe, and your first album with your revolutionary E Collective jazz band. The acclaimed Turtle Island Quartet joined the E Collective for 2021's Absence, an innovative album of sublime chamber jazz. A frequent collaborator with movie director Spike Lee, you have been nominated for 2 Academy Awards for composing the scores for Lee's films Black Klansman and Da 5 Bloods, only the second African-American composer nominated twice in the category. You have composed more than 40 film scores and performed on more than 50 soundtracks. Your renown as an educator traces back from your current high-profile position as the first Kenny Burrell Chair in Jazz Studies at the UCLA Herb Alpert School of Music through your roles as Artistic Director of the Berklee College of Music, the Henry Mancini Institute at the University of Miami, and the Thelonious Monk Institute of Jazz. Terence Blanchard, in aiming to speak the truth, you have built a body of work that has the power to open people's eyes and change hearts and minds. In recognition of all you have achieved and in anticipation of all you have yet to do, we are proud to bestow on you today the highest honor conferred by the Peabody Institute of the Johns Hopkins University, the George Peabody Medal for outstanding contributions to music and dance in America.
Wow, this is incredible. Never saw this day coming. To the dean, to the faculty and the staff, thank you for this incredible honor. To the class of 2023, congratulations, dude. I know y'all are ready to get out of here, right? To the family, friends, fathers, mothers, uncles, aunts, sisters, brothers, grandparents, thank you. Because they sound good now, wasn't always that way. So we thank you for having the patience to let them to develop. So give yourselves a round of applause, for sure. My mother, till this day, still doesn't remember that when I started playing the trumpet, she would make me practice in the backyard while her soaps were on during the summer. Yeah, that still left a mark on my soul. Okay, so I have something to say to you guys. I know you're excited about this day, and you should be, because you've accomplished a lot. You've gone through a lot. There's been a lot of trials and tribulations to get you over the hump to where it is that you are today. But you're not finished. You are not finished. Today marks the day where you put everything that you've learned into practice. Today is the day where you continue to really grow and learn to help bring our society forward. One of the things that has stuck with me throughout my career is something that my composition teacher, Roger Dickerson, who is still my mentor to this day, you know, well, let me just tell you the story. You know, all of a sudden, we're recording the music for one of Spike's films, Mo Better Blues, and we had to record the music for the band before they could shoot the scene. And as we were taking a lunch break, I started to play something at the piano that I was working on for my next album, which is my solo album that he was talking about, the self-titled one. I had written a song called Sing Soweto. Spike came by and heard it and said, man, what is that? I said, something I'm working on. And he says, can I use it? And I said, sure. What am I going to say, no? So we recorded it just as a solo trumpet piece at that point. And Denzel shot the scene. It's the scene where Denzel's on the bridge. Spike gets the scene back into the editing room, and he feels like it's kind of empty. So he calls me up, and he says, hey, man, do you think you could write a string arrangement for this? And I lied and said, yes. You know? So after saying yes, I said, I freaked out, I panicked. I'm like, man, I've never written for orchestra before, what am I gonna do, right? So I called Roger Dickerson, the person who is like my musical father. I am so close to that man, he means everything to me, right? And I knew that once I called him, he would have the right answers for me. So I told him what the situation was, and I waited with such eagerness to hear what he had to say. And you know what he told me? Trust your training. So that's what I'm gonna tell you. Trust your training. You have it within you, right? See, the issue is that we come behind a whole history of music that has set the table for us. And we tend to think that that music has etched everything in stone. No, that music is just one person's opinion. That's all it is. I love Puccini. I love Verdi. I love Stravinsky. What brass player wouldn't, right? But it's just his opinion about how things work. Now, granted, it's brilliant in how they all put it together, but you have now garnered the type of training to create something just as valuable. The only problem is you have to believe it. You know, when I was teaching at the Monk Institute, I had a exercise that my students hated with a passion, right? They're all jazz musicians, and the interesting thing about it, this is an exercise that was given to me when I was in high school. So maybe it was a little bit of payback for me, I don't know, but I enjoyed giving that thing out. And basically what the exercise was to write an arrangement of a short tune for the ensemble within 30 minutes, right? That's the same look I used to get from them. They hated it and would scramble, and as soon as I start to talk about it, being like, oh man, come on, then we have to, I'm like, yeah, you gotta do this. And then they would run out to try to find a piano or a place to to play a guitar, and they would come back with all of these arrangements, right? The guitarist in the band, a few years later, he's traveling the world with Herbie Hancock. You heard me? Herbie wants to do a recording with Sting. And Sting brings in a tune called Sister Moon. And he looks at this guitarist and he says, hey man, you think you could write an arrangement for it? We only have 2 hours. His mind immediately went back to that 30-minute exercise. Something that he had within him that he didn't even realize was there. So you haven't done all of this work for nothing, right? All of that practicing. And here's the thing that I think that's the most important thing I could tell you. Keep your options open. When I was sitting where you're sitting, if somebody would have told me, I've written, man, you're about to write over 40 film scores and 2 operas and about to work on your 3rd, I would have reached across the table just to smell their breath. Say, bro, just put it down, bro. Stop drinking. Just leave it alone. That would have been my response, right? But for me, in my career, I've been too dumb to know better. So when people come up to me with opportunities, I'm not going to shut myself off, because my main thinking is I'm a performer. I have that, right? If this doesn't work, I can go back to that and I'll be fine. When it came time for Opera Theater St. Louis to expand their horizons and want to do a jazz opera, it just goes to show, I'm going to tell you that story, it just goes to show you how things work. This guy named Gene Dobbs Bradford, who used to run Jazz St. Louis, and I've been knowing him for years. And years ago, we just had a general conversation, and I told him that my father loved opera. My father was an amateur baritone, and I heard a lot of opera growing up in the house. 30 years later, right, he's having a conversation with the director of Opera Theater St. Louis, and they said they wanted to do a jazz opera, and his mind went back to that conversation 30 years ago. And he said, well, maybe you should check out this guy. Now, I didn't know they had that conversation. Jim Robinson, who's the director and who's been directing all of my operas, he came to me in New York and said, hey, maybe we want you to write an opera. And again, I leaned across the table. I'm like, you must be crazy. Me, write an opera. Yeah, we want you to write an opera. Who did I call? Roger Dickinson. Roger, man, I have this project. Whew. I'm thinking, okay, this is an opera. He's going to give me something concrete this time. I don't want to hear Trust Your Training. Dude, how do you open? What melody should I write? What's the harmony? Give me something concrete. You know what he said? Don't think about writing opera, tell a story. Again, which essentially means trust your training. Couldn't tell you what exactly I was thinking at that moment in time. But to suffice it to say, you know, I worked through it. And the thing that I think is the most important for you to understand, as long as you have a passion for something, you're going to be successful. As long as you have that love of something that goes well beyond the monetary gain, right? Those physical things that people want to attain that makes them think they're successful. As long as you have something that goes beyond that, you're going to be successful. It may not go down the path that you want. I wanted to be Miles Davis. That ain't happened. As soon as I met Miles Davis, I went, nah, that ain't happening. Right? And it scared me, truthfully. It scared me, because I'm like, well, what's up? And then I literally had to figure out that I'm going to do what makes me feel happy. I'm going to do what brings joy to my life. And part of my thing in the music world is to open people's eyes to the injustices of our community and our society. So I've dedicated my life and my life's work to doing just that. You know, you heard about the album Breathless with the E Collective. Well, one of the things that I'm proud of is that, you know, we did an album, a follow-up album to that called Live, where we went to 3 cities around the country that had serious moments of gun violence, and we got involved with the communities there and, you know, had discussions, round tables with law enforcement in some places, and actually tried to affect some change. And while we were in Cleveland, where Tamir Rice was shot, this guy came up to me after the show. Now you gotta remember, I just put this Electric Band together, so everybody's like giving me a hard way to go, because they're like, hey bro, I really, really, really loved your jazz band. I'm like, okay, cool, thank you, I appreciate that, but this is what I'm doing now. So I had a lot of those conversations. So when this guy walked up to me, he says, you know, I thought you were gonna do the music from A Tale of God's Will, the Spike Lee documentary. And I said, uh-oh, here we go. And then he said to me, and the music that you started to play sounded so angry. He said, but then you told us what the music was about. Gun violence in our country. Something that nobody was talking about at the time. But people were getting shot and killed. So we felt like we needed to do something. And then this guy said the most interesting and powerful thing to me that any person has ever said. And he said, I thought to myself, if the guy who created A Tale of God's Will is this angry about gun violence, I need to rethink my position on gun control. That was a powerful moment in my life, because sometimes as artists, we tend to think like we're spitting in the wind, nobody's hearing us. And it couldn't be the furthest thing from the truth. So I'm telling you this to tell you right now, in your darkest moments, when you think nobody's hearing you, don't believe it. People are paying attention. Look at the number of people out of here that have come to support you on your day of graduation. It's no accident. They're doing this because they've seen your progress. They are proud of what you've done, right? So from this day forward, get excited about anything that comes your way that allows you to create. Get excited about any time you get a chance to be involved in any type of creative endeavor, no matter what side of it it's on, whether you're administrative or performing. We are all in the same boat. Having my operas go to the Met has opened my eyes to the large number of people that it takes to put on those productions, and how everybody involved is a valuable component to making those productions successful. So never think that you're taking a job that's beneath you. That is the furthest thing possible. There's a guy that works at the Met, his name is Tashambi, and I love this guy to death, because when he sang in the chorus for Fire Shut Up in My Bones last year, that's when I met him. But then I wanted to go see a production of Turandot. And when I walked into the theater, guess what I saw? Tashambi dressed in a uniform as an usher. An usher at the Met. I said, really? He goes, hey man, I do it all. I needed an opportunity. Being an usher allowed him to become a part of the chorus. You know, also when you go to the Met, they have the subtitles in different languages. He also does that. There's no job beneath him. My proudest moment is that this year in Champion, Tashambi had a solo role, just for a few bars, but it was a solo role, and his first solo role on the stage at the Metropolitan Opera. So I'm saying this to you to say, everybody wants to hit a home run. Just get on base. And then steal second. Right? And the last thing that I'll tell you is, look, if there's ever any example of something that you can accomplish, I am it. I am no different than you. I'm no different than you. I don't have extraordinary talent. I don't have more talent than you. I know that for a fact, right? What I have is a work ethic and a willingness to learn. So this day doesn't mark the day where your education ends. Not at all. This is the day where your education truly begins. So, from this day forward, we're all going to be in the same boat. We're all colleagues. We're all music nerds. So from me to you, I'm so proud of you guys. Very proud of you. And I'm excited to see what you're going to do, and I'm looking forward to hearing from you guys in the future. Congratulations, class of 2023.
Okay, well, it is now our pleasure to present the recipients of the degrees of Bachelor of Fine Arts and Bachelor of Music. The audience is requested to refrain from applauding until after the last diploma in each category has been awarded. And so, would the recipients of the Bachelor of Fine Arts please rise? I have the honor of presenting the recipients of the degree Bachelor of Fine Arts. Alexandra Elena Cariati. Constance Wisheng Francois. Satya Zija Kurniawanto. Kayla Lawfer. Nolia Reichert Montiel. Zoe Brielle Payne. Noah Allen Price. Lourdes Delmar Santiago Lebron. Emma Catherine Welter. Would the recipients of the degree Bachelor of Music please rise? I have the honor of presenting the recipients of the degree Bachelor of Music. Alexandra Rose Krupp. Dylan Rosenthal. Carson Allen Atlas. Jasmine Marie Galante. Grace Margaret Hogan Hughes. Changhua Lee. Merrick Aloha Takagi Ohata. Anson Tong. Eli Samuel Wasserman. Colin Wu. Isaac Lazaro Friedenberg. Nico Musaraka. Caitlin M. Baker. Owen Scott Boyd. Justin Shankell. Boyang Kang. Alfonso Sanchez Herrera Lasso. Fernando, Serrano Navarro. Subin Cho. Kirkland Moranos. Brandon Kenaga Wong. Bowen Jen. Jackson Maxwell Paget. Kobe Nathaniel Schoolman. Charles Reichert Powell. Tanner Selby. Nicholas de Movilan Wool. Matthew Lucas. Daniel John Tomchik. Julian Pujos Qual. William Joseph Warwick. Chyna Beals. August Bratz. Cyrus Josiah Patrick Mackey. Miranda Lynn Towler. Emmett Benjamin Maisel Reed. Cassandra Durgan. Naomi Bila. Joseph Cahill. Aaron Gao. Taegyu Kim. Wonyun Liu. Adeyemi Ogunkanmi. Shuaking Sun. Shaosu Huang. Yutian Ma. Elin Chi. Eugene Han. Haitian Emma Wang. Angie Shu. Yu Zhang. Yulin Zhang. Austin Cohen. Bennett Manuki. Lara Ann Nascinceno Villanueva. Haviland Robertson. Spencer Ryan Smith. Tyrone Samuel Williamson Jr. Kevin Freeman. Imperatrice Magdiel Hernandez. Nathan Hillman. Brian Jennings. Haley Camp. Hanyu Fang. Yanshang Huang. Anne-Marie Claire Nolan. Eunice Gayong Park. Anna Maria Povlu. Nina Yoon. Ji-Hyuk Choi. George Christian Jennings. Rachel Harleen Taylor. Marina Genevieve Bienemy. Caitlin Cherry. Caroline Grace Colvin. Erica Marie Dancona. Mackenzie Payne. Alicia Lucia Secula.
Before concluding today, we have two special announcements from folks who could not be with us in person. You know, during your time here, we learned to be very flexible and pivot for technological concerns, and we've even been sort of very good at pivoting for anxious interim associate deans who missed places in the script. So let's go back to the beginning and have an opportunity to hear from the provost of the university. Interim Provost and Senior Vice President for Academic Affairs, Stephen Ganji, on behalf of the Johns Hopkins University.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Stephen Ganji, Interim Provost for Johns Hopkins University and a professor at the Bloomberg School of Public Health. I'm sorry I can't be with you in person today, but I appreciate the opportunity to say a few words of congratulations. Peabody, and artistic training more broadly, has a special place in my heart, although you wouldn't know it from my rudimentary piano skills. Rather, having spent over a decade each at the prep, my older daughter attended Peabody as an undergraduate, and my younger daughter completed a violin performance degree overseas and is now embarking on graduate performance training. I know how special this day is for you, and one you likely won't ever forget. Embrace this singular time, filled with high ceremony. Celebrate your achievements and mark the transition to your next creative adventure. I implore you to keep your festivities joyous and safe, but also kindly ask that you undertake a moment of reflection during this time. First, I hope you reflect on your journey so far. I hope you remember how hard you worked to get here and how excited you were during those initial days as a Peabody student. Or maybe how scared, or maybe how confused with so many questions. Does the Blue Jay shuttle stop running at 1 a.m. or 2 a.m.? What is the difference between a major chord and a dominant seventh chord? Why is the elevator so slow when I'm late to rehearsal? Watching this journey unfold through the eyes of a parent and from all the wonderful students I've had the opportunity to meet over the years, I know that conservatory training here at Peabody has required a great deal from you. There have probably been many times during a lesson, a master class, or a performance when some of you thought too much was expected. Here, it's valuable to recall what Daniel Coit Gilman, the first president of Johns Hopkins, intended for our students. Certainly, at the time of his inaugural address in 1876, neither Peabody nor the world was what it is today, but his words ring true nonetheless. The object of the university is to develop character. It should prepare for the service of a society, a class of students who will be wise, thoughtful, progressive guides in whatever department of work or thought they may be engaged. When you were challenged here at Peabody, you reached, you persevered, and you accomplished the difficult and in some cases the seemingly impossible. And that is as it should be when building character. That's why people as talented and determined as you work so hard to come to Johns Hopkins in the first place and strive to attain Gilman's vision. Second, I hope you'll reflect on the support and help you've received up to now. No person accomplishes what we are celebrating today without the fellowship, guidance, and love of others. You have both contributed to and benefited from a community of fellow artists who share your creative passions and dreams and who understand both the struggles and the joys of creative artistry. I hope you'll take the time to reach out to those people, whether it's a parent or a partner, a professor or a provost, or just the person who listened to you over a cup of coffee and comforted you when a performance or an exam didn't meet your high standards. Whoever it is, thank them and tell them what they mean to you during your journey. You are Hopkins family now and forever, and there is much to be had by staying in touch. You never know how you might benefit from the relationship in the future, or how you might be able to inspire the next artist to join the Peabody family. Lastly, as you look to the future, you should reflect on your personal aspirations. I encourage you to think of the long term and how you will contribute as a citizen artist. It won't be enough for you only to do well. Every community needs you more than ever to create what is currently inconceivable, discover what has been proven stubbornly undiscovered, and reach the previously unreachable in your art and in your life. Live up to Gilman's vision as a guide for society, but also remember, in the eyes of the world, you are the Peabody Conservatory, and you are the Johns Hopkins University. The average citizen is more likely to meet one of you than one of our esteemed faculty, so represent us well. What else is there to say but congratulations? I wish you nothing but success in all your future endeavors. Make Peabody and Johns Hopkins proud. Thank you.
So as was mentioned earlier, unfortunately, Dean Bronstein was not able to join us in person today, but fortunately, he's able to join us now to offer his closing remarks and congratulations to the graduating class of 2023. So, Dean Bronstein.
My first order of business is to apologize for not being able to be with you in person on this very important day. It seems that after well over 3 years of avoiding COVID successfully, my luck, as it were, ran out this past week. This is actually among my favorite days in the academic year, and I'm just sorry I can't be there to celebrate with you. Even though I won't be able to attend, I want to invite all our guests here today to please join us for a reception on the plaza immediately following the conclusion of today's graduation ceremony. Now, I feel like I should begin my comments with some levity I'll borrow from others because I'm fairly confident nothing else I say is going to be funny today. But to our graduates, I will offer a little advice from Gary Boulding, who said, "Your families are extremely proud of you. You can't imagine the sense of relief they're experiencing, and this would be a most opportune time to ask for money." I'm sorry if you don't know who Gary Boulding is, you're going to have to look him up. And to our parents here, I'll quote Irma Bombach, who noted, "Graduation day is tough for adults. They go to the ceremony as parents, they come home as contemporaries, and after 22 years of child raising, they're unemployed." Now, to be serious, how wonderful it is for us to be here with you and your families to share in this very special moment that you our students have worked so hard to achieve. I want to again congratulate our graduates today on all your many accomplishments during your time here at Peabody. You've worked hard, you've overcome obstacles and called on internal resources you probably never knew you had in order to get to this point. You're truly not just the class of 2023, but for better or for worse, you're the class of COVID. You arrived in fall 2019 thinking you knew what was ahead, and by March 2020, things looked very different. You had to weather and navigate 2 years plus of masks, online study, low latency rooms, Purell, and so much else. But you did it, and I'm pretty sure if you could manage all that, you can manage anything that lies ahead. So now you'll set off on a great adventure, and one that will have its peaks and valleys, but you have learned to be resilient and always to return to the purpose that has driven you to be an artist from the beginning. I invite you to take a moment to think about and again thank all the people in your lives that have helped you arrive at this point today. None of us do it ourselves. My love for and interest in music was made possible because my dad took me to concerts, took me to record stores when we had record stores, and spent hours combing through the bins and spent hours and hours and days with me looking for the right piano. Similarly for you, parents, grandparents, siblings, friends, teachers, mentors, and others were there to help you find your way, perhaps when you had your doubts. So please do thank all the folks that have made a difference in your life. And again, I think you have to most of all applaud yourselves. Now the question is, what do you all do next? I don't have to tell you that you're going out into the world at a pretty challenging time, but you have the capacity to change that world and to influence it because you are artists. You're going out into the performing arts at a time when the challenges which were exacerbated by COVID continue. And beyond that, you're starting your careers at a tumultuous time generally in our world. Democracies are fighting to remain true to their creeds while autocrats fight to undermine democracy itself. People are faced with fighting for their rights, including those that were once assumed to be firmly in place. Racism and misogyny are anything but a thing of the past. And we all live with the threat of gun violence that has become far too familiar. That's a challenging landscape. But here's the part that I really want to focus on. You have the chance to impact all this now with the extraordinary power of art, which you can use to change lives, to truly elevate the human experience. In a sense, we get too used to these gifts that we hold. Blasé, we risk taking it for granted because we're around it all the time. But most people are not, and with what you do, you can, through your music and dance, uniquely express what others may be feeling, and in that sense become a mirror that reflects back those feelings as if to say, I understand your plight. The beauty that you create is a unique gift, and with that unique gift comes responsibility. You have to decide how you're going to use that talent to make a difference. And there's not a right or wrong answer to this, or a formula for how to do it. You get to decide. One of the things that I am most proud of you for is not just the skills that you've acquired as musicians, dancers, and scholars, but how I can already see you using those skills and the creativity with which you are seeing endless possibilities. I think we can take a little credit for that. Our breakthrough curriculum and Launchpad and fostering generally of a community-minded enterprise has challenged our students to think about what they do as more than just the value of performance, of presenting a work of art, but what impact does that really have? How do we make a difference? What I really want to do today is the simplest thing I can, which is to celebrate you. So I'll draw on your own examples because they are inspiring. You've done so many wonderful things in your time here that have helped you grow. The countless number of performances, right up to and including the recent performances and recording of Peabody faculty member and Pulitzer Prize winner Du Yun's Where We Lost Our Shadows, which will be Peabody's third recording since 2015, or the Peabody Jazz Ensemble at the invitation of Wynton Marsalis, going to perform at the Jack Wooten Jazz Competition at Lincoln Center. Also recently, the presentation of Don Giovanni and a wonderful showcase of our dance students at the Gordon Center. And in the support of Peabody's full-throated commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion, as essential across all aspects of our community and the work we do, the launch of Peabody Premieres, our label fully dedicated to the recording and propagation of works by underrepresented composers. And of course, there are literally hundreds of recitals that brought you here today, included everything from the standard repertoire to contemporary art song, world premieres of our composers' works, and emerging American artistic traditions. Yet the work that you all are doing goes far beyond the traditional medium of performances on the stage or even recordings. I'm thinking, for example, of Zoe Payne, who started an after-school dance program called Moving Together at the Sisters Academy in Baltimore, and Bowen Jen, who is developing a catalog and translation resources for Chinese art songs. Joe Cahill, who created a cross-disciplinary performance, the Galaxy Brain Experience, drawing on hip-hop, chamber music, animation, and dance. And Wei Shang Francois, whose interdisciplinary one-woman show integrates live music, dance, and spoken word to portray the personal experience of being coerced into a spiritual cult and the journey onwards towards healing and reclaiming life. Finally, I want to pay tribute through a few examples of the outstanding faculty that brought you here. And these examples represent many more faculty members whose professional profiles shine a light on Peabody every day. I'm reminded of the recent sold-out performances of The Hours at the Metropolitan Opera by our Pulitzer Prize-winning faculty member, Kevin Putz, something our Peabody medalist knows something about. Or Kevin's colleague, Felipe Lara, whose double concerto was recently performed by the two Phils, LA and New York, to rave reviews. Or Marin Alsop's never-ending stream of successes with orchestras around the world, including where she is this week at the New York Philharmonic. And I could go on and on. The reasons our students are who they are is because our faculty are who they are. In recounting the breadth and depth of what our faculty and our students, specifically you today, have accomplished, and most important, will accomplish in the decades of your collective careers that lie ahead, we are reminded of the truly special place Peabody is. So now I invite you to take everything you have done out of the classroom and the practice room and bring it to life. I wish you well. We are incredibly proud of you. We believe in you and are here to support you. And I encourage you to always remember your own resilience and that your future ultimately truly is in your own hands more than you might imagine. Congratulations again to our new graduates and your families. Bravo. Well done.